Vasishta continued, "You are a wise man, O Rama. Be firmly established in egolessness and remain unpolluted like space. When the ego is non-existent, how can notions like, 'These are my relatives,' arise? The self is not involved in such notions, nor in notions of pleasure and pain, good and evil. Be free from fear and delusion caused by world appearance. To one who is unborn, there are no relatives, or sorrow caused by such relatives." Seems to be one of the themes or one of the assumptions of the Yoga Vasishta, that relatives and children are a source of sorrow. They're certainly a source of pressure because you've got responsibilities, and with these responsibilities come anxieties and concerns. What Ram has been advised here is to be unpolluted like space, or to remain unpolluted like space, because that's what our true nature is. I'm reminded here again of the just sitting meditation, where you just sit and you observe what is happening without making any comment or judgment on it. Or if comments and judgments do arise, then you observe them too. It's an interesting meditation to try. And within that there's going to be all the feelings also, not just thoughts, but feelings. I mean, that's really what we've got going on. We tend to think about thoughts and notions, but what we've really got is a mass of emotions, of feelings going on. They're going on in our body. The thoughts are usually an expression of them, although the thoughts can also trigger them as well and fuel them. So the focus here seems to be on relatives, because these are obviously very deep feelings that we have, very deep feelings which can throw us into turmoil and agitation. And so we need to look at these feelings. We need to sit or lie in meditation and observe these feelings arising and falling. They might not actually fall that as often as they seem to arise, but all we can do is observe them. And from that position of observation, we're possibly at that point in a state of egolessness, of a state like space. If you realise that you've been someone before, you are someone now, and you will be someone later on, and if you realise that this is true even of all these relatives, you'll be free from delusion. So here the belief in reincarnation in past lives and future lives might actually be quite useful. You're getting the bigger context, the bigger picture in a way. Because if you believe in past lives, then we've all been related to each other at some point. We're all part of one massive network. I think just as a technique for dealing with difficult emotions, it's quite good to try and think of the big picture. Consider the big picture. Consider the fact that you're going to die. Consider the whole world picture or the cosmic picture. If you feel that you were before, you are now, but you will not be hereafter. In other words, you don't believe there's going to be a future life. Even then you need not grieve, for that is the end of this world appearance. In other words, it's all soon going to be over. Hence it is foolish to grieve here in this world. It is better to be happy at all times, and to be ever engaged in appropriate actions. However, O Ram, yield neither to exaltation nor to sorrow, but remain in a balanced state of mind. You are the eternal infinite light, pure and extremely subtle. This world appearance exists. Later it will vanish and reappear. But this is only for the ignorant, not for the enlightened. Well, it comes and goes all the time actually, especially if you are able to get in touch with your own essential awareness and to spend time or spend periods in that awareness. Before long, you're going to have to start engaging with the world as if it's an external thing. So this happens all the time, comes and goes. This world appearance has sorrow for its nature. Ignorance expands and aggravates it. Ignorance is getting caught up in the notions of me and a world out there and acting accordingly. And it's a never-ending game of swings and roundabouts, or snakes and ladders even. But you are wise, O Ram, therefore be happy. Illusory appearance is none other than illusion. Dream is none other than a dream. All this is the power of the omnipotent, and the appearance is just the appearance. Who is a relative here, and to whom? And who is an enemy, to whom? By the wish of the Lord of all beings, all are all to all at all times. That's a lovely sentiment, isn't it? You know, we shouldn't be creating divisions between ourselves. This river of relationship is flowing on constantly. What is on top proceeds towards the bottom, and what is below rises up like the cartwheel. They who are in heaven later go to hell, and they who are in hell go to heaven. They go from one species to another, from one part of the universe to another. The brave become cowards, and cowards become brave. There is nothing in this universe which is unchanging, O Ram. They who are relatives go away after a while. Friend, foe, relative, stranger, I, you, are words without corresponding substance. He is a friend, and he is not a relative. Such thoughts arise in a mean person. In the magnanimous person, such distinction does not arise. O Ram, all beings are your relatives, for in this universe there does not exist absolute unrelatedness. The wise know that there is nowhere where I am not, and that is not which is not mine. Thus they overcome limitation or conditioning. So we've got these tendencies, even if we have realized our nature as Brahman, the tendencies, there are still tendencies which arise and which divert us from that awareness. And we need to use whatever techniques we can at this point to countermine our basic psychological tendencies. In other words, to overcome limitation or conditioning. And the main one really is to keep coming back to awareness of our essential nature.